A phylogenetic tree is a diagram that represents evolutionary relationships between organisms. The branching patterns of the phylogenetic tree illustrate how species or groups evolve from a collection of common ancestors. There are multiple types of ways to draw a phylogenetic tree, but we are going to be creating a rooted tree. A rooted tree converges to a point labeled the root of the tree. The root represents the common ancestor of the life forms in the tree. A rooted tree also shows the accurate distances between OTUs and the order that each organism diverged as compared to the outgroup. You may now be asking, what is an OTU? OTU stands for Operational Taxonomic Units and are the individuals being studied in the phylogenetic tree. You may also be asking, what is an outgroup? This is the OTU that diverged earlier than all of the other OTUs in the tree. All of the other OTUs share a common ancestor, and the outgroup is the most different from the other organisms in the tree. Now let's look at an actual phylogenetic tree. For this example, we will be looking at famous Disney cats. Here's what the blank phylogenetic tree looks like with no OTUs. Phylogenetic trees all look different, and there is no one structure for them. Looking at this tree, we can see that the OTUs will go here. These are the branches, and these are the internal nodes, meaning the common ancestor of those descendants. The lengths of the branches correspond to time estimates, meaning the OTUs that are closer together are more closely related. Two descendants split from the same node are called sister groups. We are now going to see the filled-in tree and talk through it. As you probably guessed, Pascal is the outgroup. You can see this by looking at the tree and seeing that he diverges very early from the rest of the tree. He is also phenotypically very different from the rest of the organisms being looked at, as he is a chameleon and not a cat. Looking at this first cluster, we can see that these cats are all similar to house cats. Duchess, Lucifer, and the Cheshire Cat are all closely related, but Duchess and Lucifer are more closely related because they are much more domesticated. However, the Cheshire Cat is still a type of house cat, which is why he is in this group. Here's an example of cladogenesis, or the splitting of one lineage into two. The second cluster is slightly more complex. Here we can see Tigger and Raja are the most closely related because of how close together spatially they are. This makes sense because they are both types of tigers, but not the exact same type. The next closely related to both of the tigers is Simba. He is slightly farther away because he is a lion, but they are all still strong, powerful animals with similar sizes and diets. Still in this cluster, but sharing its own common ancestor, are Clawhauser and Bagheera. They are farther from the tigers and lions because they are still wild cats but have key differences. These two are sister groups because panthers and cheetahs are both tall, slender, and agile. These two's most common ancestor is here. This can be found by following each OTU's lineage back in time until all of the lines meet up. Looking at this tree, there are three main groups: domestic cats, wild cats, and then the outgroup. Within this tree, there is no anagenesis, which is an evolutionary change of a single lineage where one taxon is replaced by another without branching. For example, if Tigger evolved into Raja with no branching, that would be anagenesis. Phylogenetic trees are incredibly important because they add to and enrich our understanding of how genes, genomes, and entire species evolve over time.